All right, today on The Explainer, we are digging into one of the most disturbing and frankly complicated stories of our time. It's the story of Jeffrey Epstein, a man who built an entire empire on secrets and abuse, all while hiding in plain sight. So where does a story like this even begin? Well, it starts on a private island in the Caribbean, a place that looked like paradise from the outside. But what was really happening there was part of an operation so vast and so protected that it took decades for the world to even start to understand. For years, all anyone saw was this gorgeous 72-acre luxury paradise. But behind all the glamour, the private docks, and the fancy resorts, it was hiding a truly horrifying reality. This wasn't just a vacation home. No, this was the very heart of his operation, a place where he used these lavish vacations and exclusive parties as a kind of sophisticated cover for the systematic abuse of minors, far, far away from any prying eyes. And when investigators finally got onto the island, the stuff they found was just bizarre. I mean, they found this weird temple-like building, suspected underground tunnels, and to this day, no one's really sure what they were for. Add in the discovery of hormonal medicines and the fact there were cameras on literally every corner, it just deepened the mystery of what was truly going on there. So the big question is, right, how does a guy acquire this level of wealth and influence? How do you go from being a math teacher to a billionaire with a private kingdom? Well, let's go back to the beginning. It really was this calculated climb to the top. He starts out in the 1970s, believe it or not, as a math teacher and transforms himself into a Wall Street financier. He was incredibly skilled at gaining the trust of the super rich, managing their money while, methodically building his own sinister empire on the side. And just to give you an idea of the kind of money we're talking about, get this, 75,000 acres. That was the size of his ranch in New Mexico. And that was just one piece of his portfolio. He also had the largest private mansion in Manhattan, a luxury apartment in Paris, and of course, that Caribbean island. But for Epstein, the money wasn't even his biggest asset. No way. His real power, the thing that protected him, came from his unparalleled network of connections to the world's most powerful people, a network he'd spent decades building. And this is where the so-called Epstein Files really come into play. We're talking about flight logs from his private jet, infamously nicknamed the Lolita Express, and court documents. The names that turned up were just staggering. Politicians, royals, titans of business. These weren't just casual friends. This network was a powerful shield that kept him protected for years. Now, you can't talk about any of this without talking about his closest confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell. Survivors allege that she was the architect of the whole trafficking network. They say she used her own elite social status to recruit and lure vulnerable young girls right into Epstein's world. So with a network that powerful, it's probably no surprise that for years, the system completely failed to bring him to justice. But the relentless pursuit by victims and journalists, well, that would eventually force a reckoning that was long, long overdue. I mean, just look at this timeline. The path to accountability was a 15-year battle. It's a real saga of justice denied and then demanded. It all starts with the bravery of survivors, like Courtney Wild, who filed that first report way back in 2005. Then it gets deliberately derailed by a secret deal in 2008 that kept the victims totally in the dark. And finally, a decade later, it's powerfully reignited by investigative journalism that exposed that whole initial cover-up for the world to see. And when you put the two cases side by side, it's just night and day. In 2008, he gets this secret backroom deal, basically a slap on the wrist. But by 2019, the game had completely changed. Thanks to immense public pressure and the incredible courage of his victims, there was going to be no deal. This time, he was facing life. So it finally looks like he's cornered. The world is watching, and you have to imagine a lot of very powerful people are sweating, thinking he's about to start naming names to save himself. And then the story takes its most shocking and controversial turn yet. On August 10th, 2019, just as he was about to stand trial, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell at one of America's most secure jails. Now, the official report, it declared his death a suicide, but the circumstances surrounding it were anything but ordinary. I mean, just think about it for a second. The two CCTV cameras outside his cell, they both reportedly malfunctioned. The two guards who are supposed to be on duty, allegedly asleep for hours. And he had been taken off suicide watch just days before. It's no wonder that the prevailing theory out there isn't that he committed suicide. It's that he was silenced to permanently bury the secrets he held about some of the most influential people on the planet. So in the end, Epstein himself escaped trial, but that doesn't mean the story just ends there. Some measure of justice was served. His chief accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison, and a compensation fund of $121 million was set up for over 150 of his survivors. But here's the thing, and this is maybe the most important part to understand. This story is absolutely not over, not by a long shot. Why? Because of this number, over 1 million pages. That's the estimated number of pages from the Epstein Files that could contain more names, more details, more evidence, and they all remain sealed from public view. The whole case is just this chilling reminder, right? That while immense power can conceal horrific crimes, it can't erase them forever. His death might have closed a chapter, but with so much still hidden away, the story leaves all of us wondering, whose secrets are still out there, just waiting to be exposed?